Oh, hail, folks. Welcome on into the Pegasus Actual Podcast. We have our favorite usual suspects tonight. Of course, to my right or to my left, depending the way you're looking at it, we have Brightest Day, a.k.a. Zach. Zach loved Kara. And look, he's in full uniform, folks. So, I mean, that is a first for our show. We have somebody in full colonial uniform. So, salute to him. Big time.
I know there's a crowd that appreciates it.
Yeah. Salute. For sure. Because, I mean, that's awesome. And the detail on that uniform is like killer. Dude, that is great cosplay.
It is premium.
It is. That's nice. And of course, we have our buddy Culture Casino that is always here, provides great insight. And, the three of us have a really good chemistry. I really enjoy doing the panel with these guys. And we've got a really great episode tonight. I've been looking forward to this one, boys, because tell you what, when I first saw this, you can see it coming because of the way it is. It's very similar to, you remember the one we did in season 1? It was an Act of Contrition with Kara in it. And there was a lot of foretelling because we saw like it jumped around a little bit and we saw the sequence with her Viper and things like that. Well, the events of this episode, like you kind of know it's coming, but boy, when the moment happens, it really just still gut kicks you. And I remember it was shocking. It was shocking when this first came on. It was real shock to the fandom, and people were like, "Holy shit!" So,
yes, this episode is almost 100% emotion from start to finish.
Yeah. So you guys are going to enjoy the discussion, and we're going to try to convey things that the best we can. Hopefully, you guys have seen the episode as we have, and away we go. Take it away, Zach.
Thank you, Drew. Once again, I'm Brightest Day, and for those of you unfamiliar with the format of this show, I will read a synopsis of the episode scene by scene, and we will pause every so often to discuss scenes amongst ourselves and take questions and comments from the chat. As Drew mentioned, this is Season 3, Episode 17, Maelstrom. The episode opens as Kara Thrace, deep in REM sleep, dreams of her old apartment, where she struggles to cover up a painting of the mandala that has been haunting her. In this dream, Leoben appears, and as the two embrace in the throes of passion, the mandala pushes its way through hastily applied white paint. As she awakens from her dream, Hot Dog, who had been watching her writhe and climax in her sleep, playfully ribs her about her dream. In the crew's head, Hilo sparks conversation, noting that Hera has had her own kind of dream keeping her up. He suggests seeing a psychiatrist he knows of among the fleet, which Kara pointedly declines. Hilo counters that there is instead an oracle down in Dogsville. Behind Starbuck, the image of an abused little girl appears, but as she turns to look, the child disappears. We cut to Dogsville, where Starbuck enters the tent of the oracle, Yolanda Brett. Kara picks up a small golden figurine of the angelic Aura, goddess of the dawn. Bren then reveals herself, telling Thrace to keep the small idol, before having her sit before a bowl of water, taking her hands, and beginning her reading. When Yolanda reveals verbatim intimate details of Kara's troubles, including the destiny foretold by Leoben, Starbuck lashes out. The oracle tells her that her mother was trying to teach her something, but that she confused the messenger for the message. Before Kara storms out, she is told that Leoben has the answer, and he's coming to show her the way. and that'll be our first break.
Yeah, so a lot of there's a lot of callbacks to I think there was the callback to Kara's old apartment, and we see that in there that I remember like when we first see Kara's apartment, and I want to say that was in season 2. There was kind of like you saw the Maelstrom painting, but it wasn't really prominent. Like they kind of like they kept it very like low key, but you noticed it more. It became more prominent. If you remember at the start of this season, when there was some stuff on New Caprica, and it looked like she had something that she was painting in there. So, quite interesting. Quite interesting. So there's a lot of callbacks to a lot of different episodes.
Well, Kara's haunted in a lot of ways.
Mm-hmm.
The events of everything that has happened all to this point in the story continually haunts her. This is one of those things.
Yeah, exactly. So there's also again, up to this point, people didn't really understand the significance of the Maelstrom painting, and even though what happens later in the events of this episode happens, it really doesn't allude to that, because essentially this is just the beginning. But the events are still shocking. So go ahead, BD.
All right, so before I continue, I'm just going to state that what shocked me most about this opening series of sequences is that in her dream and throughout the course of the episode, she's thrust into another situation where she has to deal with Leoben. And Leoben is a character she pretty much has every reason to hate, and yet in the opening scene, they're making love. Like that's a very jarring encounter between these two.
Well,
Yeah.
And I know we'll go on to deal with this later in the series, but they're inexplicably tied. They have been forever. He's probably the most spiritual of the Cylons. Despite the character that we'll be introduced to, or were introduced to, I should say. But I'm just saying, I look at it that way and go, he's probably the only one that gets it, and maybe he kind of understands, or at least understands what she may or may not be. And so and he told her throughout the entire period on New Caprica, you have significance. You are greater. I want to take you as my wife. I want to pursue these things, which is part of a different type of, worship, I guess. I don't know. It was very odd. There's a lot of weird stuff going on down there, but there are so much religious undertones in Kara Thrace, and those get explained throughout. Well, not explained. Those go unexplained throughout the entire series. That's probably the best way to describe it.
Yeah, because it's funny because she doesn't. It's almost like she came off to me, Culture, and I don't know if you got the same vibe. She came off to me as like kind of like lapsed Catholic. Like she like practiced the faith of the colonies, but at the same time, like she wasn't like your typical like go to church every Sunday or pray a super lot. But at times we still see her like praying, like she had the 2 idols that she was praying in one episode.
She was a reluctant penitent, right? And she was also oh gosh, I'm trying to. She was also one of the beneficiaries of visions, much like the president, in as much as she was having in this beginning segment we just talked about a prescient dream, right?
Mhm.
And the president um, also has prescient dreams or visions, right? Things that appear to be that are far more real than any dream has any business being. So,
Mhm. But she doesn't seem to share the same clairvoyant quality as the president.
and there are episodes in which I would disagree upon reflection after seeing everything, but
Okay.
yeah,
No,
yeah.
that's fair.
What?
I didn't think it was as keen as what the president had because
Well, and maybe that's true, but she, on more than one occasion, displayed clairvoyance isn't the correct term. I'm trying to figure it out, but I'm just saying there was definitely an element of things beyond her that
Mhm.
drove her.
And I'm using clairvoyance because again, yeah, it's the same. I'm in the same boat, dude. I don't know
Yeah.
how else to really describe it.
Yeah. Well, again, I mean, she's driven by something beyond reason at many points throughout the series. So, and at this point, it's we are. There was so much foreshadowing in this episode. You alluded to it when we were just a few moments ago. This is the setup for that. So, in order not to spoil it, I'd like to stop talking and maybe have Zach.
Yeah, we'll have Zach pick it up.
He looks so prim and proper. I'm like, geez, do I salute? What do I do here? Holy cow.
Yeah.
Well, yes, but you also let me continue.
Okay, all right.
All right. After the opening credits, we see Anders attempting to convince Kara to take leave time with him. The two discuss the impact Kara's harsh form of parenting had on her current mental state. Starbuck recounts the numerous times her and her mother, Sakata Thrace, would get back at each other through mental, emotional, and physical traumas. Outside Galactica, we see the fleet orbiting a gas giant, as refueling operations have resumed following the events of Dirty Hands. Starbuck and Hot Dog are on combat air patrol, flying inverted to take in the wonders of the blue sky, a reminder of New Caprica. Starbuck sees what she believes to be a heavy raider fly past her cockpit. Neither Hot Dog nor Galactica confirm her sighting, which Colonel Ty attributes to the synchrotron radiation around the planet. All refueling ops are halted. Kara chases her bogey through the clouds, losing her wingman and supporting squadrons, until she breaks cloud cover and sees that the storm system closely resembles the mysterious mandala. She chases the raider down the eye of the storm, against Apollo's numerous warnings and the danger of being unable to re-enter orbit. All around, the tunnel vision pilot flash images of her mother, standing in an apartment, before Starbuck finally relents and pulls the Viper back out of the storm. On the flight deck, Chief Tyrrell informs Starbuck that there appears to be no impact damage to her Viper, despite the hits she remembers taking. She reviews combat footage from the incident, and there seems to be no sign of the raider. Several members of the squadron float various theories to explain the discrepancy, but Starbuck remains adamant about what she saw. And we have our next break.
Wow. Well, see, here's the thing. I mean, yeah, we rely on our eyeballs to tell us more than what we see sometimes, or what others might see. Because it's a field of perception. They could say that she was seeing something the gun camera footage wasn't picking up because it was outside of its range, or there were other anomalies that were interfering with the camera footage they were seeing. Any number of things. I think somebody suggested even a loop in the episode, but it's just I understand what that is. Her perception is different than what other people see. She may have seen it, and again, it gets back to her being aware of something that maybe others are not.
Mm-hmm.
The sixth sense she may or may not acknowledge.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, her mother. This is the interesting thing. We're going back in time. Is it that in this episode, the conversation with her mother?
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, then I'm not going to spoil it, so I'll stop talking.
It is indeed real, Roof Korea. Yeah, so when they're reviewing the footage, pretty much everyone around her goes through a possible explanation as to what she saw, and one of the other pilots flat out says maybe she just saw saw something that wasn't there. But it's helps to build Kara's mental state further in this episode, and that she becomes confident that she saw what she saw, and no one else is the only one else that's kind of aware of what's going on with her is Lee, and that gets discussed later on.
Yeah, and a lot of people don't really doubt it because, I mean, technically she's still the best pilot in the fleet. So people take her instincts seriously because she is still at captain rank, right? Or no?
I believe so, yes. Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, so, I mean, so they take her experience and her, I think her instincts very seriously as a pilot. So yeah, she says she sees something. There's not a lot of people who are going to dispute that.
Yep. And we get into that right in this next scene.
All right, take it away, buddy.
In Admiral Adama's quarters, he and Lee discuss Kara's competency to serve, with William believing she's close to burning out mentally, and Lee believing her steely-eyed viper jock mentality is all that holds Thrace together. After Lee encounters Kara in Galactica's memorial hallway, the two speak fondly of Kat, Duck, and Nora, as they discuss where to have their photos placed if and when one meets their end prematurely. Starbuck inquires as to Lee's conversation with his father, and Lee tells her that he trusts his pilot, despite her craziness. As he speaks, she's distracted by a puddle of wax from a nearby burning candle, resembling the by now all too familiar mandala. Later, as Kara passes Rosalind and the Admiral in the passageways, he greets her with her old tagline. Before she leaves again, Starbuck gives Adama the golden figurine to use as a figurehead for his model ship. Back on the flight deck, as Kara and Tyrrell inspect her Viper, the young girl appears again, shocking Kara into flashbacks of her mother and visions of the Eye of Jupiter. Kara sits silently alongside her bird as Lee comes down to check on her. He offers to be her wingman to give her the peace of mind necessary for her to maintain flight status and not lose herself to the madness. Thrace asks about his marriage and notes that after all they've been through, they've come full circle, once again being just CAG and hotshot pilot. Here's our next break.
Yeah, I know that the Lee Kara shippers were not fond of that, but yeah, you know, you really saw Lee kind of taken up for her. I thought that was cool, and the fact that, you know, he said, "Look, you know, I got your 6. I'm going to get you through this," and you know, it was I liked the whole dynamic, and the symbolism when they were in the memorial hall was quite interesting because, again, you know, what do we see? Like the Maelstrom shaped thing pop up. So,
and it's subtle too. It's not explicit, but you can tell that that's what they were going for. It looks like it could just be a random happening.
Right. Very interesting.
Yes, I agree. Lee's in this precarious position where he doesn't want to lose his best pilot or his best friend. So he's trying to balance the two against what he sees as this giant crisis that she's going under, that he doesn't really quite understand, but he knows is important enough to have to address.
Yeah.
Sounds right.
I
don't have anything else to add, so yeah.
Well, Roof Korean brings up an interesting point. Do we want to address this now, or do we want to wait for a little bit later?
Now's as good a time as any.
I mean, yeah, I think, and especially when we get to the end of the episode, Ruth Korean, I agree with you. This really starts that push.
It does.
You know,
it does. There's no denying it. It because this is where they started to play cards.
mhm.
So cards started to be played that would be ultimately resolved in the final episode, and as the cards get played, the story does get muddled. It gets bogged down. There are three elements that show up along the way that create there's a little bit of chaos going into the final episode. So knowing how the series ends exactly, what are they trying to do with this change to Starbuck? Bring in something otherworldly. Bring more so than we've already had. There are a billion fan theories and Ronald Moore's explanation. And when we get to the last episode, we can certainly talk about that. I don't want to spoil it for those of you who haven't watched the episodes, like you're watching them with us in real time. Yeah, I don't want to break that down a whole lot further, but this episode is the beginning of setting everything up.
Yeah, it is, and and the thing with the that I felt with the change to Starbuck is, they were playing around with the idea of, and it's almost like, because again, there were a lot of things that they used in BSG, because, those of you in the chat that might be just getting into the show or less familiar with it, this is by and large the same writing team, writing crew that worked on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. So there are a lot of parallels you draw in there, aka when you get into like earlier in season 3 when we were doing the new Caprica arc, that was based off of the stuff that they weren't able to elaborate on in DS9, the Bajoran occupation. So there's a lot of parallels of, either unused concepts from DS9 or stuff that they did that they took inspiration from. And one of those things I felt kind of like almost with Kara's sort of transition from Kara to Kara 2.0 is the fact that they kind of, it's almost like that vibe that you got when the end of DS9 when Cisco's with in the Celestial Temple, and he's more of a what's the word I'm trying to say, like a transcendent being. And I think that's what they were trying to go for with Kara. And the thing is here that we, and again, we'll get more layers to it as we move along through the rest of the episodes and through season 4. But what I can say is the fact that, I'm not sure that they really portrayed that clearly. That's just my opinion. I think they fell short with it. I know I could see what they were trying to do, but I think that they fell short. And that'll become evident later on.
I would agree, and I think that's a commonly held opinion among some more critical fans of the series. And to address Ruth Korean's comment directly, whilst being vague for those people that haven't seen it, this is the turning point in the back half of the series where the episodes get more dogmatic and theocratic, and they take on these higher level spiritual elements. And I think that whether it was their original intention to use Kara or not, Kara becomes this living MacGuffin and the conduit for all of these elements they have to pull in. And they
she really does
leverage the plot against her. They make it work, but it is, Ruth Grant's correct, it does become a point of contention among the more critical fans of the series.
Mm-hmm.
And with that, I think we can continue.
Yeah, absolutely.
Okay. During their combat air patrol, Starbuck once again sees and pursues the heavy raider, and is once again the only one to notice it. Erring on the side of caution, Adama again orders the fleet to cease refueling and move to Condition 1. Lee loses Kara on Dratus, and as she chases, her cockpit is seemingly punctured by machine gun fire. She loses consciousness and tumbles wildly through the air. The alarms in her cockpit break way to an alarm in her old apartment, as she is greeted, once again, by Leoben. Kara believes she's being tricked, either unconscious or on a Cylon ship. Leoben attempts to assure her otherwise. He points out her attraction to the mandala, and how she hasn't told anyone about it, that it calls to her, and she fears the unknown it represents. Her memory shoots back to an event 6 years ago, where Kara stands before her mother as she reads a letter from the oncology wing of Caprican Colonial Forces Veterans Hospital. Starbuck and Leoben watch the awkward exchange, as Socrata both congratulates and berates the younger Kara's achievements, in light of her attitude and trail of demerits. Kara fires back about her mother never reaching officer status despite her service in the war, before noticing the doctor's note and realizing her mother has untreatable cancer. When her mother rejects her pity, Kara leaves, vowing never to return. Socrata remains alone with her pile of spent cigarettes as Starbuck comes to tears and having to relive this moment. We can pause here, or I can keep going.
No, you can pause. I thought, I mean, and that sequence that you just went through, it showed just how, like, the trauma she went through, like she tried to console and be there, and her mom was just had the attitude like, you know, she was because she was known in her military career, her mom I'm talking about, was known for being very tough and rigid soldier, and she was going to damned to be the tough and rigid soldier till the end. And Kara was just trying to be like any normal daughter and, you know, be there and love on her mom till she was gone. And the mom's like, no, save your pity. You know, use that. And, yeah, she didn't understand at the time, but it was really, you can tell it was emotionally fucked up for her. And so, yeah.
So I had an odd parallel that I drew when I watched this episode that I want to float to you guys and see what you think. In this scene and in this relationship, Socrata Thrace is Sarah Connor from the Terminator Chronicles and from Terminator, and Kara Thrace is John Connor. Socrata Thrace knows the potential Kara has been through this hardened thing, understands what she needs to be, and Kara is still holding on to this piece of humanity while she has this gigantic fate in front of her.
Well, her mother presents her with grand purpose.
Mm-hmm.
Right. Yes.
From the outset.
Yeah.
So, I mean, yeah. Again, I mean, Roof Korean's 100% right. This is the setup for the finale. So, he's not wrong.
Yeah, I mean, he kind of hit it on the head right there. You know, especially with the comparison to Lost. I thought so, and the writer's straight. Roof, you're right on about that, because you know, and even we had talked about that on the original forums when we had the Pegasus actual forum still up. That was a big deal, because about this time of the series, people started speculating, wow, I wonder if the writer's strike had to do with A, B, and C episode, and why, you know, certain things feel rushed or off, because you're going to see now as we move along there's going to be some episodes that really do kind of they do miss the mark completely. These are the back half. I would say last season and a half probably. It's arguable that it might have had the weakest episodes in there as the of the series, the up and down, like not all in a row, but in spots.
You know what, I don't agree with you, Drew, and that's fine. But I think the weak episodes are balanced throughout the entire series. The things that need to fill the solo stories or the solo stories. Like I said, there were, as Ruth Kareen also said, there were
Shane.
Hey, what's up, Shane? There were things that were muddled along the way, and even Ronald Moore actually agrees. I mean, it's not, and all of his post finale conversations, and even years after the series ended. There are mistakes along the way, and there are at least 3, and we can, when we get to them, I will point at them, but we're not quite there yet.
Yeah, we're not there yet.
But Shane Nolan says also the scene with her mother in bed is a lot like Inception, Cillian Murphy with his father. 100% right. Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
I loved that film. A lot of people didn't. I feel like people don't get Nolan's films, to be honest with you. And they're all going to end up falling in the same universe. So at some point, you're going to realize that Nolan built a freaking universe that you didn't know was happening, and they're all going to get tied together, and you're going to be like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, Zach 7, great to see you, buddy. Great to have you in here talking some BSG. So if you're a fan, you're going to really enjoy this. We're in a great discussion. And everybody's bringing some great points tonight, man. The chat and of course, BD is doing a bang-up job with the script that he put together. So with that said, go ahead, BD, continue.
Before I continue, everyone in the chat, please hit the like button if you haven't. Share out the stream if you know someone that would like to see it. And if you haven't subscribed to Drew already, please do so.
Yeah, absolutely, folks. Everything is not political on my channel, even though I know a lot of you think it is, but it really isn't.
This is not political.
This is not political.
There is politics in the show, but the show politics, not anybody else.
Exactly.
And have you guys noticed that Brightest Day has kicked it into full professional mode because he is dressed as a professional soldier? It's awesome.
Yeah. He is the master of the CIC.
Good to go?
Yes, sir.
Leoben tells Kara how her mother waited for 5 weeks before dying alone in her apartment. Kara admits she was too afraid to watch her mother die and is led to a door, behind which is her mother's deathbed. She then sees how her mother kept every letter and doodle that she had ever made, including one of the mandala. Kara realizes and tells her that the event she was being prepared for is about to happen. As Socrata takes her last breaths, her daughter gains some measure of closure. As Leoben tells her that death is not hard to embrace, that this was the lesson her mother was trying to teach her daughter. Thrace realizes that the entity which has shown her these visions is not actually a Leoben. When asked, he replies that he never claimed to be. He is there to be her guide to see what lies between life and death. Back in reality, Starbuck regains consciousness, finally answering Lee's desperate calls. As he once again tries to reason with her, a view from the tail of Apollo's Viper clearly shows the raider, then Starbuck's Viper chasing it. The bogey vanishes into the clouds, and the view cuts to Apollo, looking straight forward, declaring visual contact with his wingman. Starbuck calls out to Apollo, telling him to let her go. She sees a vision of white light in her cockpit and smiles. We are also shown an image of her as a young girl in the same white light. I'll take a short break. There's only 2 more paragraphs after this.
Yep, and that's why when we put the tweet out tonight, folks, that's like that scene that we had in the GIF in the tweet where Kara says, "I'm not afraid anymore." That's exactly it.
Yep. And so in real time, watching this as it unfolded in the series, right? As this was happening, I have to ask a question.
Mm-hmm.
What do you guys think?
It was shocking. It was shocking because I remember, man, the reaction after this episode on original forums, culture. You had to be there. I mean, first of all, we had probably about as soon as this episode was over, out of the at the time 16,000 members we had a good probably like 9,000 people come rushing online as soon as this episode was over. Like, oh my god, people were just absolutely going apeshit. Thread after thread after thread, like Kara's dead. What does her death mean? Blah blah. They're just like, I can't believe they killed off my favorite character. It's just a lot of shock. I mean, there was a lot of shock.
Well, and the thing is and this is a moment again. These are putting the wheels in motion, to the end. Right? We're a season and a half away from it, but this is the wheel. The wheel's spinning now towards the end, and this is something that Game of Thrones looked like it was about to do right around the end of season 4. So it's like here we're setting all the pins in place to roll to the end, and it's going to be like tick tick tick. It's and here's the thing: when you're writing something, they always say, don't be afraid to kill your darlings. In fact, kill your darlings. Kill the things that people are invested in because it has more impact. Now, you have to be careful about who you kill specifically, but you have to along the way do that. So when this happened in real time, I went, holy hell, they could not possibly have killed this person. They could not possibly have, and yet it was probably the only person of substance at that point in the story you could have killed. It was amazing.
It was. I mean, it was the right choice, I suppose, but it was just like, like because you went through and you always expected, well, the president's going to die, or or you figured Lee was going to die, or you figured something like that, and they would go for the whole like maybe a change in Adama's character based on losing his kid, but there was already that dynamic in place anyway because of his other son and that whole issue, because Zach failed basic flight. So you always like to throw that one in there, but
he also loved Kara.
Yeah, he did, and Katie didn't really want out. I don't think Zach's. She was happy with it. Because I know she was very attached to the show. Because this was still, I believe, this was still a little whiles before she got the offer. Well, this was before she got the offer for Longmire, right?
Right. Yeah. Oh, way before.
Yeah.
Let's not do anything else. Let's be careful. There are people who are not caught up with us. That's all.
Oh no! I'm not pushing ahead. I was saying that's what I was trying to explain. This was before the offer for Longmire.
She had some other stuff in the fire. She actually there was a B film in early stages that she was attached to and got paid some money for that never actually came to fruition. And there was one additional television pilot that was on the horizon for her.
Well, this was because she was being the Bionic Woman consideration for that. I remember. But yeah, I know that because well, the Riddick movie was well later. Shane, that was well later.
There is an actress on this show to whom those two statements apply, both the contractual and wanting off. It is not Katie Sackhoff, and we will not get into that because we have not reached that part of the series yet.
But when we do, we will. We're this is fun. I kind of like it.
There is an actress that ended up in that show that goes
Stop it. Stop it. We'll spoil things.
No, yes, exactly. We're not going to spoil things. Hail Adega, Dr. Adega, how are you, sir?
Hail.
Our pal, the good Dr. Adega. Always good to see him.
The handsome and intelligent Dr. Adega.
Yes, he is. Yes, he is. Oh, man.
The well-bred and well-located Adega Outlaw.
Mm-hmm.
So before I finish, I'll give my reaction to Coach's initial question. In real time, while some may have not seen her death coming, that's up to the individual. I could tell immediately at the moment she takes her mother's hand in her dream sequence that she becomes this new character. It's that exact moment where she reconciles with her mother and sees everything, that everything just kind of clicks, and you see it on Katie Sackhoff's face in the performance.
Mm-hmm.
And she
absolutely. There is a level of determinism. You're 100% right. I agree.
Mm-hmm. Sorry. She carries that through out of the dream sequence into her cockpit, which again was in the gift that you shared, Drew. And it just, I think we are all Lee in this moment where we are having our heart ripped out of our chest. I don't think you can watch this sequence, have any emotional attachment to Katie Sackhoff's character whatsoever, and not feel not betrayed, but mournful, incredibly mournful when she.
Well, this killed me because I was a huge, you guys know I was a Bananas Starbuck fan, and I was also like a big time, like, I'm not afraid to say it because look, we're the real shippers, all right, not these Raylo type of people, all right. We're the OGs, okay.
We ship ships, okay.
And I was LK all the way, man. I was the LK shipper big time. Not afraid to say I was all about Lee and Kara being together, man. And it just killed me when when she just died. You just see the Viper explode, and you're like, what?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And it's very fast too. The escalation from where is this going to that? It's not instantaneous, but it's very. Like I said, it's very, very fast how quickly they accelerate to it.
Yeah. So go ahead and let's finish those last couple paragraphs, Zach, and we'll have a wider discussion.
Shortly after the light shines, her Viper explodes. There is no ejection, no rescue chute. Apollo reports the grim news to CIC. Admiral Adama gives an order for Viper squads to form search and rescue teams, vowing that they will find her. But Lee tells him it's no use. She's gone. Everyone, from Ty to Gaeta to Admiral Adama, is visibly heartbroken.
Yeah.
In the closing scene of the episode, Admiral Adama tries to work on his sailing ship model, with the Aurora figurine now attached, which fits perfectly. But in his anger and grief over the loss of Kara Thrace, he instead destroys the model and falls to tears as we fade to black.
Man, I'm sorry. That scene with Adama at the end.
Oh, God.
With the masthead, right? With the perfectly fitting masthead. Mm-hmm. And I was like,
that was a killer.
God. And everybody felt that feeling. The audience felt that feeling.
It is what we all felt. It was perfectly conveyed.
I can get there easy, right now, because I recall it. And every time I see it, even though I've seen the entire story beginning to end, it's the same reaction.
But culture though, that just speaks to like almost can pull off like a gripping emotion. So like amazing. I mean, he's just freaking amazing. Like you feel that, dude. I mean, it just absolutely it shatters you into 1,000 pieces more than the model. More than the model that drops on the floor. I mean, it's crazy, because he just conveys that emotion so good.
That unfortunately not a prop, but fortunately very insured model.
Yeah,
that was destroyed entirely ad-libbed.
Yeah,
by Edward James. Almost in that singular moment displays as much emotion as anyone else does in the rest of the episode. Like his face just sways so heavily with sadness. Whether he was method acting or not, he convinced everyone in what was it, like a few seconds?
Oh yeah, dude, that was just extra level acting, man, and that's why Almost is so good. That's why he's such a pro. That's why we all enjoy his acting. He's good.
Right, he helps to carry this series all along the way.
God, oh yeah, dude. Every time he does a speech in this series, it's awesome. It's awesome because you're just like you're ready to run through a wall. It's like I mean one of the greatest coaches of all time giving you a pep talk, and you're ready to
which he did. We still remember that particular episode where he made up the so say we all scene that they kept in because he's bloody freaking brilliant. He wanted to make this production huge. But look, I'm going to say something controversial.
Exactly.
Perfect. I'm going to say something controversial, a little bit of a hot take. Jamie Bamer makes the segment work, and he does it like just in his reaction. He's at the moment he's in the cockpit, he has to separate a whole lot of grief, and yet you still feel it while he's saying she's gone, right? And in that moment, it's a pilot's reaction to it as much as it is the emotional side of it. And I freaking still, as much as he's just a pretty boy, and he does not the best accents in the world. He was really good. He was really good in that particular scene. I really appreciate it.
And it's the second time in the episode where he has to have this dual set of feelings toward Kara, and you just alluded to it, both as her CAG and as her best friend. And in that moment, that's those singular lines, she's gone. That's speaking in both worlds at the same time.
Yeah,
I think you put it perfectly.
Yeah, it really is. It's just so good. Like the emotion in this episode was just conveyed so well, and even that shot of the CIC that you described when you're doing when we were just wrapping up, our synopsis of the whole episode. It just the other actors like Ty sold it, and the other ones that you just see, all around the CIC, they sell it so well. But you really like what you and Culture were saying, Almost and Jamie Bamer both like just next level on that whole sequence.
And that's one, Ty is one where, and this has happened a couple of times in small scenes throughout the series, even though he doesn't get a line in this particular scene. When Ty shows any kind of admiration or, for lack of a better word, love towards Kara Thrace, it stands out particularly well because of the animosity that has always existed between the two.
For sure. Absolutely.
I kind of like their back and forth, not quite stable relationship throughout
the antagonistic relationship.
Yeah, I loved it.
Begrudging respect.
Yeah, that was good. Absolutely.
Or the disrespect at times. Think of the fact when we meet Starbucks, she's in after an interaction there, she's in the brick.
Yeah, she's in Hack, and Like she just like
man.
just like absolutely like decks him and then winds up in hack. So I mean that's like you said, culture. Like and that's like when we're first meeting her.
It's a hell of a thing. I mean that entire run between the two of them to this point was like that was perfect.
Yeah. So, man, I guess we'll go around and give our thoughts. Man, I guess for me, wow, this episode was just emotion from start to finish. Like BD said, I know. Like when I sat down, first watch, this just killed me. It just killed me because I was like, oh man, this episode really knocked the hell out of you emotionally. This was one of my episodes that I would give easily like a 9 or 10 to. I would say more. I would say at a 9. It's a 9 for me for sure. I don't know. BD?
Yeah, I struggle with whether it's a 9 or a 10. And just for the sake of the sheer amount of emotion, I want to give it a 10, even if it does, as we were discussing earlier, lead into some of the points in the series that cause people to question the quality of it, which may or may not be hinged on this episode. So I'm going to be optimistic and give it a 10.
Wow.
All right. Well, final thoughts and score, culture.
Well, it's pretty easy for me to give it a 9. I can't quite give it a 10, but just because they literally killed my character I was engaged with fully, I have somewhat of a bit of a rebellious streak, guys, and
but you complimented that before.
I did, I do, and it's I have to because
it's a hallmark of good writing.
There's an intellectual honesty I have to convey, but then emotionally I'm engaged with this character. And by the way, the character's female, and yet I identify with the character. So freak you, people who are politically motivated, buy this bologna sausage that does that. Anyway, fracking agenda drivers. But here's the thing. 9 easily. It could, and again, I mean, it could hit me on a day. I'll say it's a 10, but this is not the cause of the problems in the story. It is something. It's something that engages the next level. That's the best way to describe it. The next level of the show. And again, it is dangerous to kill your darlings, but in good writing, and it doesn't matter what kind of story you're telling, you have to kill your darlings, even the ones that have very, very emotional strings tied to them by your audience, right?
Mm-hmm.
I mean, Game of Thrones is a perfect example of, holy Jesus, what the frick did they just do Red Wedding, right? I mean, at that moment in time, you were engaged with a family of people and it just gets slaughtered in front of you. And you're like stunned. And this was that for me. And so my final thoughts are, hats off to Ronald Moore once again for freaking brilliance. And there you are. So there you go.
Yeah. Same with me, buddy. So yeah, that's I think where we're at, chat. and yeah, Zach 7. It is amazing how much happened in 3 seasons. It really is, and we're still not done with season 3 because.
And consider this. I mean, they had a writer's strike in the midst of all this shit. How did you make us care twice on the same season? It was like, oh my god.
Mm-hmm.
And up earlier too, I still question to this day just how much and in what episodes the writer's strike had an effect. And we never find it.
You can't find it. You can't find it because they lead into each other so well. And my guess is there was so many fully completed outlines and treatments in place that it wouldn't have mattered. I mean, Ron could have sat in his room as an EP and written it all out, right? If he wanted to. I'm just saying.
Yeah. Well, folks, I can tell you that the next 3 weeks of Pegasus Actual is going to be pretty darn amazing, because the next episode that we have is going to be season 3, episode 18, The Sun Also Rises. It begins a 3-episode arc, a very interesting, you want to talk about emotional roller coaster ride and just intrigue. A 3-episode arc where we get into a really interesting development for Lee, but also we get into the 2-part finale, Crossroads 1 and Crossroads 2, where that's episode 19 and then, of course, episode 20. But in the midst of all this, we have the trial of Baltar, and that is what is going to take center stage throughout these 3 episodes. So the next episode will kind of be that process leading into it. And then, of course, Crossroads 1 and Crossroads 2 encapsulate that trial. So very interesting stuff coming up, folks. You aren't going to want to miss our upcoming episodes of the Pegasus Actual podcast. We'll try to, I think we should be able to bang them out before we all take off to Vegas. And so we'll be good to go. So we've got some excellent Thursdays coming up for you guys. So don't miss that.
These are huge, man. These are the episodes my teeth are grinding into this stuff. These are good. There's so much in them. Oh my gosh. Lots to break down. Probably take us more than an hour each on those, but
yeah, I think it should. I think we should give it the extra time.
Yeah, it's gonna be well worth it, guys. So make sure that you don't miss that. So we got some good stuff coming up. I'm gonna go around, let these guys plug their channels. We'll do our outros, and then we will see you on the other side, because I think later I'll be on probably Comics' channel. I know CC, are you gonna jump over there as well?
Oh, of course I am. Yeah, actually,
okay.
Thursday Night Throwdown is exactly 78 minutes from now.
Yeah.
So be sure to check it out over on Comics Division. Join Dick's Division. You will not regret it. The show's growing every single week. Merchandise is on the way. Comics himself is going to appear in Vegas. We're going to do the show Thursday Night Throwdown live from Vegas, many of us getting together in the same room to make it happen. Probably have special guests rotating through. It's going to be fantastic. You're going to see more and more of that. The Vegas trip's going to be insane for all of us because we're getting together. You're going to see people flowing in and out. There'll be panel styles. You got people taking full setups with them, including me. You've got like, well, I know some of you can't in planes, but people are bringing XLR setups and mixers and the whole 9 yards. So it will be magical. I think we'll probably have a couple of private test streams to make sure everything works okay. But be prepared, guys. This is going to be huge. It's going to be.
And then you're just going to have me, folks, with probably just a laptop there and maybe my headphones.
It'll be fine. Actually, I hope we do a panel system where a lot of people get in front of the same green screen. We can do a long shot with a webcam. So I wish I was already rich enough with my YouTube money to buy a Sling Studio, because then I'd just do a multi-camera. But I can't do that yet. Yeah. We'll get there. This is dumb, guys. When you get monetized, you don't actually get the money. You spend it on more YouTube stuff to get better. That's what happens. I'm not kidding. It's dumb. The way it works. Anyway, I don't need to promote myself. I'll go first because, hey, I'm on the bottom. Culture Casino, I have a channel. You can check it out here on YouTube. You can check me out on Minds. You can check me out on Twitter. You can check me out on Odyssey. Odyssey is a unique platform where Wes Moody and I can get together and actually do live streams on Tuesday and Thursday to do the news. But again, I don't want to promote me. I want to promote those two guys. Be sure to help out my friend Drew to get to the magic number of 1,000. He has more than enough ways to get to 4,000 watch hours. So once he does, he'll be monetized and he deserves it. The other fella here, that side, is Brightest Day. Zach loves, he did kind of love Kara, and then he
also failed Basic Flight.
Yeah, well, he did
I
do
did.
that, but Zach definitely loved. Well, I should say, Kara actually loved a lot of people after Zach. That's all I have to say about that. A lot. I mean, many
Yeah.
times. I mean, you can't call her. You can't use it. I'm not going to shame anybody. But anyway, but do check out Brightest Days channel. I think he is criminally undersubbed. I cannot wait to continue to promote him. In fact, not this Sunday, but the following Sunday, we'll have Brightest Day appearing on the Sunday Culture Review. So a week from this Sunday, I'm getting the gang together from Bounding into Comics for the Sunday Culture Review. So be there Sunday, guys. It's going to be awesome.
Hey, Culture. By the way, explain what this fancy link is to folks if they don't know.
Oh, yes. Okay, so right down here, this is the Stream Elements bot. It allows you to put things up there like, I don't know, your tip jar. When you're not monetized through YouTube, you can click on this link, go through a couple of steps, and send some money to, your Witcher, or in this case, Drew, the Supreme Heretic here. So do check that out. He is trying to kick a little money into this jar so that he can afford the travel to Vegas and maybe, eat. Good.
Yeah, that does help. But thank you so much, folks, for checking out Pegasus Actual tonight. You guys are indeed the best chat on YouTube, and we love you guys because, man, it was you guys know the show so well, and you guys just make this pretty awesome. So, all right, let's toss it over to BD real quick.
Thank you, Drew. Thank you, Culture. I will make sure that Drew does not starve in Las Vegas. I unfortunately will not be able to stream on my own. I will have only my phone, so I will be doing hopefully some pre-recorded content based on what goes on every night with some discretion. But thank you. I'm Brightest Day. I have an upcoming channel. I do model building content. I do Battlestar Galactica content. I occasionally cover Green Lantern content and a bunch of other random things that happen to go on. I just tend to try to have fun and be as much of a member of the chat like you guys are. This is how I started. And these two guys are two of my biggest influences for getting started with my channel. So I very much appreciate being on this show, being on the panel with these two gentlemen, and having them bust my chops every week. Thank you guys.
Yeah, but man, I'll tell you what, Zach, you are such a valuable addition to this program, and just having you be a part of it, it's amazing, my friend. I absolutely love you, and I'm very proud of you, and I'm just happy for the crew that we have. Culture and Zach, Steven when he's normally here, and everybody that participates in this show. And we are still efforting to get some actors, actresses, possibly. I know that we tag different people on a weekly basis, so you never know who will show up. We're trying to get Nikki Klein, or we're trying to get Katie, or we're trying to get Trisha. We tag them every so often and see, but it is what it is, folks. But you can count on us being here, and that's the biggest thing. And we can count on you being here, and I love that because, again, you are the best chat on YouTube. Like we always tell you, without you, there is no us. And I just want to thank you folks for indulging us, having this discussion, and participating, because you're amazing and you're great friends. Absolutely. So on that note, we will say goodbye to you, and we will see you next Thursday. And until then, take care of yourselves and each other. So say we all.
So say we all.